Everybody get up and celebrate. It is a great day to be a baseball fan. The Toronto Blue Jays have scored more than 5 runs for the first time since April 6th.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Just before we get into everything we announced this last episode. We're going to keep announcing it every episode because we are headed to Toronto, May 17th to the 19th. Tampa Bay Rays, a big division series. And I believe the 17th is actually country night too. So that's going to be a load of fun.
Oh, I'm fired up for it. Divisional rival, not a great history with the AL East, obviously last year. This year's going a little bit better. The Rays are struggling so far, so maybe we'll get them down in the dumps a little bit. Hopefully, we'll be able to abuse them a little bit in that series, but I'm fired up for an AL East opponent.
Carter, the game today. Actually, before I get into that, follow us on Twitter, Braden5 Carter First 2, on Instagram, at Locked On Blue Jays. Same with the TikTok, at Locked On Blue Jays. Today was a rough day for me to start off. I was absolutely down and out this morning. I don't think I left my bed until... Actually, I think it was like halfway through the Blue Jays game. I started to regain some sort of consciousness, I think. I was sitting here and I was watching people play MLB on my TV all morning because I was just not feeling it. It was a call-in work type of day. So you guys know I was feeling pretty bad last episode. It was a rough sort of weekend for myself. But we got to see a Canucks win. And then I turned on the Jays game, of course, because no matter what state of mind I'm in, I will always be able to sit and watch Blue Jays baseball. And it was surprisingly good. It was surprisingly an entertaining game. The Blue Jays able to get the win against KC 6-5. Now, don't get me wrong. Today's game wasn't perfect. It was far from perfect, to say the least. But I think there was good things to take away from this, right? There was a lot of hits. We actually scored a decent amount of runs. The offense was on full-fledged here today. And of course, Carter, that gets led by Justin Turner. What a day that guy had today.
Carrying the Blue Jays and carrying my fantasy team. 2 home runs from the guy. To all the haters that were on Justin Turner saying, who is this guy? Why are we signing this old man? It's because he rakes. That's why we signed him. It's unbelievable, Justin Turner. Like, look at these stats. I didn't expect him to be this good, honestly, when we signed him. 311, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, and a 923 OPS. Just continuing to be a dog in this lineup, especially when our top 3, as advertised, has been horrible to start the season. Vladdy, actually, one thing, looked pretty good today. Give him some props. Bo Bichette out of the lineup. Maybe that's the key for this Toronto Blue Jays lineup so far. Bo Bichette, black hole a little bit in that lineup. You get some of those other guys. You move them up in the order. Danny Jansen starts hitting 5th, another home run. Dalton Barger looked good today. He almost had another home run. Starting to get a little bit better offensively. I don't know if this is a hot take for me. This is the first time I had fun watching a Toronto Blue Jays game in a while. I don't know about you, but scoring runs, actually coming through in opportunities, not just one inning, multiple times scoring runs, multiple innings. Great game from the Toronto Blue Jays. Am I back on this offense yet? Definitely not, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a while before I say that I'm back on this team. They're going to really have to prove something to me. But again, it's nice when I get to come on here and be excited to talk about this offense because that's the biggest part of baseball. It's the most fun part of baseball is watching guys hit home runs. And today we got to see that. On the other hand, as much as I want to give everybody their flowers, the pitching was iffy today, to say the least. Yariel Rodriguez, 3 2/3 innings. 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned runs only because of something that we'll get into. 1 strikeout, 3 walks. Not his best day, but I also have to say, as our 5th starter, he's going in there and doing his job. If we can get run support as per today, usually, I have no worries about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, for a fifth starter, doing exactly what you need him to do. He's giving you a chance to win. Only 3 2/3 innings today, but again, didn't have his stuff and he worked through it. Got a tough break for Addison Barger. This guy's just not good at defense, simply. No matter where you put him, he's not going to be that good at defense. A little bit of tough break for Yariel Rodriguez, but he does continue to pitch well after that. Doesn't let it get to him. Only gives up the 2 earned runs and clearly gives the Blue Jays a chance to win. Holy crap. He gives the Blue Jays a chance to win. Huge win for us. Yariel Rodriguez, I'm more than happy watching this guy go out every fifth day. If he can get the slider located a little bit better, maybe start mixing it up a little bit because he is pretty reliant on like a two-pitch pitcher. He throws the four seam 45% of the time, the slider 34% of the time. So it is obviously there's a lot of pitchers in our system. You look at Kevin Gosman, he's a fastball splitter pitcher, multiple other pitchers. We really rely on two pitches. You can get away with that. But I would like to see Yariel Rodriguez maybe use that split finger a little bit, maybe use the curveball a little bit, try to switch it up a little bit with some of the lineups you can see in the future.
Yeah, and you know what? Just going down the lineup of our pitchers that played today. Cabrera, great day, 1 in the third inning, one hit allowed, 2 strikeouts. Good outing from him. Trevor Richards went 1 inning as well, gave up 1 hit. Of course, he gave up the home run as well, which so I mean, whatever, 1 run from him. Tim Meza, really nice day, went an inning and 1 strikeout. Eric Swanson gave up a run as well, went 1 inning, and then Nate Pearson. Um, he shut the door. The guy looked really good. I was a little bit shocked that they had him as that ninth inning guy. I know, as what John Schneider said was that he was sort of just waiting, like they sort of had him just in case in any situation. And I think they didn't necessarily need him, so they were able to save him until the ninth inning. And you know what? He went out there and he did his job. He shut the door, to an extent anyway, and got the boys the win. And it was sort of electric to see somebody not Jordan Romano out there, being put in this position. I know Jordan Romano wasn't available, Chad Green not available today. So that was sort of cool to me. Carter, we were watching it together. How'd you feel about Nate Pearson?
Since when does Nate Pearson throw a knuckle curve? That's the first thing I want to say. I knew he
Crazy.
threw a curveball, not very often, but I think that's a switch that he must have recently put into his arsenal. But I love it. Nate Pearson, he was great at the start of the season. I don't know why he got sent down, to be honest, when he did. Like, he was pitching very effectively, didn't even give up a run at that point. And in this situation, are you going to have to rely on Nate, or are you going to have to want, I should say, to rely on Nate Pearson in these ninth inning situations? Probably not. I was pretty comfortable actually today. As soon as he threw 3 pitches, I could see that he was pretty dialed. So I don't hate it. I mean, there just wasn't a lot of other options. You were kind of limited of what you could do in today's game. But with how good this bullpen is, I'm perfectly fine pretty much throwing out anyone in any situation. Maybe Trevor Richards, probably refrain from throwing him in the ninth inning. But saying that, Nate Pearson looked great today. I have no problem with him being very effective and pitching a lot of the time in this bullpen.
Yeah, and on that last pitch, it was sort of weird. I sort of just they did like a freeze frame almost when he was pitching, and I'm like, I sort of said to you, I'm like, is that a knuckle curve? I'm like, I didn't know. Like, there's not too many people left in the league that throw knuckleballs or knuckle curves because it is a little bit tougher of a pitch to get a handle on. And Nate Pearson did a fantastic job of that pitch. I don't know how long he's been throwing this. I'm gonna have to go back and try to figure it out. Um, but sort of crazy that he throws that. I mean, not to say anything. I threw a very bad version of that in high school. So just a very strange pitch, and I think there's not a ton of guys throwing it. So it's sort of cool to see because it does move differently, and you could see it on the last pitch too. It tumbled differently, and I think it caught him a little bit off guard. So great job done by Nate Pearson today. Really nothing to complain about. Carter, one thing I did want to bring up because I can't let this go. As you know, I'm a big Jersey guy. The Blue Jays 2-0 in the Baby Blues.
Might have to start that narrative. Just wear the Baby Blues at all times. But again, you don't want to wear them every single game. It's hard to believe that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win out for the rest of the season. Maybe just in must-win games, when we're kind of down in the dumps, whip out the Baby Blues. Or even better, maybe just ride it out. Maybe we'll see how big of a winning streak we can continue to have with these Baby Blues.
Yeah, and you know what? We have so they just got them shipped in. That's why they're wearing them. With this whole switch over to Fanatics, stuff has been changing. We're going to get into some Fanatics news on tomorrow's episode since we are doing a pre-record. It's just some very interesting stuff that we've had sort of bookmarked for this episode, and this is going to be one of them. There's some big news coming out of the Fanatics MLB sort of deal. So we're going to go over that tomorrow. But back to today's game, Carter. Another thing that I wanted to bring up just before we sort of move into the second segment here and get, dive in a little bit deeper is I think Ben Shulman did a fantastic job on tonight's broadcast. I just needed to give him his flowers. He's a pretty young guy. I'm not exactly sure how old he is. Pretty new to this, and I think he's done just an absolutely excellent job. I think the way he presents the game, the commentary, everything tonight was really, really good. So props to him. Maybe maybe somebody shoot this over to him, tweet this out at him or whatever. Just let him know that he's got the Locked On Blue Jays boys in his back pocket.
Yeah, when your dad is Dan Shulman, I think you're going to be set up pretty well in your commentating career. Dan Shulman, one of the best Toronto Blue Jays broadcasters to ever do it. This is why he always goes and does the March Madness games, because he's so good at what he does. Ben Shulman, great performance so far. A younger guy, just kind of getting his foot in the door here. So we'll probably be seeing Ben Shulman quite a bit in the future.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I know, sometimes you're not a big you like to have the TV on mute or quite low when you watch games and stuff. So I don't know if that's something personal for you. Maybe, yeah, I don't know what that is, but like for me, I got it full blast. I like the little tidbit stats and stuff like that sometimes they throw out. But I guess you get that from the graphics sometimes too.
For me, it just depends on how big of tangents Buck Martinez goes on sometimes. I do like him and I do respect what he has done for this organization. But sometimes for me, he does get a little bit ridiculous with some of the things he says on the broadcast.
Yeah, you know what, though? I think that's a little bit the charm of Buck Martinez is that he's going to go on these a little bit off-brand sort of tangents. I don't know. I have fun with it. And you know what? I respect a lot of these guys, especially being around broadcasting as my career. It is cool. Like I got to give a big props to Paul Edmonds, who I work with pretty consistently, and he does just a fantastic job. I mean, you guys have probably seen some of the highlights from the Winnipeg Whiteout. It's probably his voice over top a lot of those clips. He is just electric. So it is cool I love having the broadcast on and listening to those guys, seeing how different guys do it. It's very cool. But we do want to get into actually some of the craziness that happened, plus a little thing that Carter found out as well. So we're going to do all that and more next. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Of course, as you guys know, I'm a huge FanDuel supporter. I love it. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all in an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. As you guys know, safety on these apps is a big concern for me. So knowing I roll with FanDuel is fantastic. The way they secure your money, everything like that is really, really clean, really, really easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Holy, I am sorry. Sometimes I had to do a little stop in that ad to clear my, it's like that little passage between your nose and your mouth, whatever, when you're a little bit sick. Oh my goodness, it was clogged. I was trying to unplug it there.
Yeah, when you were doing that ad, I thought about something. Just imagine if someone had the balls, put their nuts on the table, and bet the Canucks when they were down 3-1 in the Preds. I don't know what those odds are, but I bet that they were like huge, like climbing over mountains to make over these odds.
Oh yeah, I don't know what they would have been. Carter, you know what? And you know what? And I was thinking about it too. When they scored the second one, I'm like, I should just bet the Canucks win here. But I, of course, wasn't quick enough, didn't pull the trigger. So that's on me. That's too bad. Couple other things just before we sort of hop right into this, Carter. Just that I found is something that blew my mind a little bit. So this is before today's game. The last 2 weeks of Alejandro Kirk have been a little bit ridiculous statistic-wise. He had an OPS of 963, a 15% walk rate, a 5% strikeout rate, and then also he hit his hardest ball of his career, 112.9 miles per hour. Sort of just insane stats from a guy I think that maybe has had these 2 weeks fly a little bit under the radar. But overall, yeah, like I wouldn't have even known about this. It's just sort of hilarious. I know we were sort of doing deep dive on some players' analytics for our episode tomorrow, and this is something that just popped up as I was looking. So just sort of off the wall. I wouldn't have even thought about this, honestly.
No, I mean, watching Alejandro Kirk play, he's definitely not passing the eye test, at least for me. Maybe I'm not seeing something with Alejandro Kirk. Maybe those that 3 for 3 days bolstering those stats a little bit because he looked unbelievable in that game. But maybe we're getting a little bit of 2022 Kirk back. I think he's going to benefit obviously from Danny Jansen being back. He's not having to play every day. Probably a little more well rested, but yeah, definitely flying under the radar to say the least about Alejandro Kirk.
Oh, and you know what? I do remember where I got the original idea for that from, by the way, and that is Avery on Twitter. So I guess he posted something, and then I went and checked it out. So kudos to him. That's a very interesting stat. Like I said, though, not a big statistics guy, and the guy ain't passing the eye test. It has not been great from what I've seen, and you can throw as many analytics as you want out at me. And defensively, Kirk has been very good. I mean, the way he frames balls, it's excellent. But in the same respect, you gotta have the eye test a little bit, and you got to see that this guy's not exactly what we thought that he might be this season, especially after his spring training. So statistics aside, I don't know if it's been as good as maybe this is making it out to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we'll see a little bit of an upward trend in direction from Alejandro Kirk, a guy that hasn't really been effective from the plate since 2022. Definitely not as advertised, and it definitely hurts a little bit more knowing that we gave up Gabriel Moreno and kept Alejandro Kirk with just how he's performed so far in this last year and a half. But like I said, Danny Jansen is mashing baseballs right now, so definitely taking a lot of the pressure off of Alejandro Kirk, and I think he can benefit from that greatly.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think sort of the split time really helps Kirk. I think being an everyday catcher, I mean, it's tough on the body. Don't get me wrong. Everybody that's been a catcher, I had some friends that were big time catchers. There was a lot of injury troubles that came about with that. And because, you're playing all the time and it's wear and tear on the knees, everything, it all, accumulates into maybe not having the best at bats the next day. So I think the split time really helps Kirk.
Oh, 100%. And speaking of players that are the opposite of Alejandro Kirk on the defensive spectrum, Addison Barger, do have to talk about this one. This guy is just not good defensively. He's never been advertised as a good defender. He's usually the guy that is going to hit for power. That play in the first inning, it's tough when IKF and Ernie Clement are normally there. They probably make that play. Then obviously hits Barger's glove, gets into the outfield, and then he tries to turn around and throw it to second. Throw isn't terrible, but it's not great. It's a one hop, kind of a tough play for Biggio, but Biggio doesn't even get a glove on it. Goes past the second baseman, and it's just a complete collapse of the defense in that first inning.
Yeah, and you know what? We got to preface something really quickly as well, because you know what? If this was Vlad or Bo or somebody else making this error, we'd give them a very hard time about it. And don't get me wrong, not a good play, pretty disgusting play, like not good. But in the same respect, he hasn't been in the major leagues very long, and I know what everybody's going to say is, it's a not as big of a jump from AAA to the MLB, but it is, right? It's nerves. It's, this is his first time playing at 3 in the major leagues. A little bit of that goes into it too. If we see him playing third base every day, making mistakes like this every so often, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But I also know that we're not going to see him there every day. Well, so it's not the biggest worry for me.
With Addison Barger, it's kind of tough for him with the start of his MLB career. They've thrown him out in left. They've thrown him out in right. He's played third base. Addison Barger's never been a guy to have this platoon role. I don't know really what they're doing, especially when you have multiple other players that have the history and have the experience of platooning out there. So with Addison Barger, I would rather him just stick to one position, but I do understand why they're doing it. They want his bat in the lineup. But I think he's played 6 games, maybe. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but I can count at least 3 errors off the top of my head that he's made already. It's hurting the Blue Jays, especially when their offense hasn't been hitting. So that's why when that error happened in that first inning, I was kind of like, here we go again. But then Justin Turner saving grace kind of got me back in. But Addison Barger, the amount of times we've complained about offense on this podcast, I'm not going to complain about his defense if he's going to start mashing baseballs.
Also, congrats to him. First major league hit. Also, it was, it was a big moment. I think it was, getting that run in ended up being huge. So congrats to him. Again, we're not going to just, pile on. He's a young kid. He's getting the groove into it. So good on him, Carter. Another guy that we didn't necessarily give all the flowers to maybe that we should have so far is Vlad. I think he had a very solid day. Carter, how did you feel about Vlad's game today?
Yeah, Vlad is probably the guy that we are the toughest on. And this is the exact reason why we're so hard on him, because he looked unbelievable today. 114 miles per hour on that double that he smoked into left center. These are the at-bats that we want Vladdy to have. We know he can have. He went 2 for 4 today with a walk, 1 RBI. You look great. And it's awesome to see Vladdy smash baseballs and hammer them over 100 miles per hour. Exit velo pops off the charts when he gets the entirety of the baseball. And that's why it's so frustrating with Vladdy, because we know he can do this. We've seen it before. It just hasn't come to fruition this season or last season or the season before. So I guess at that point, there is the question of, is Vladdy the superstar as advertised? Hopefully he can start figuring it out and getting back up to those superstar numbers. I think he's hitting like 220 right now still. So 228 actually I have here. So it is getting a little bit better. If he can continue to put these kind of days together, it will get better very quickly for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Vlad, he gives us signs of the player he can be. It's just, will he ever be that guy again? I don't know. And yeah, we can sit here and trash him all day long, but when he does something good like today, I think we got to give him a little bit of props. I know some people aren't gonna like that. They're gonna say, "Oh, it was a one-off, whatever," and that might be the case. I'm not gonna sit here and speculate that Vlad's back or Vlad is completely terrible. You can't say anything good about him. I'm sort of in that middle where if he does something good, I'm gonna give him his props, but I'm not gonna be raising a Vlad flag anywhere either.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's definitely in the back of my head that Vladdy can go out tomorrow and go 0 for 5. But
yeah,
we obviously, as Toronto Blue Jays fans, we want this guy to be good. We don't
yeah,
want him to go out there and have trash at bats. It's not fun for us to watch. It's not fun for him. It's not fun for the team. We want him to go out there and hit 45, 50 home runs. Is that going to happen this year? Probably not. But we just want him to go out there, hit the ball hard, hit the ball in the air, not hit the ball into the ground. Did that a little bit better today. Vladdy, obviously, all the fans, we really want 2021 Vladdy back. But even somewhere in the middle of what he's doing right now and 2021 Vladdy, I think a lot of fans would take at this point in his career.
yeah, for sure. Another statistic I just got to throw out there. I know statistics. I know.
Stack guy Brayton. Oh,
2021
yeah.
Bo Bichette's barrel percentage 9.9. 2022 barrel percentage 9.6. 2023 barrel percentage 9.6. What is his barrel percentage so far, you might ask? Is it on par? Not even close. 2.3% for Bo Bichette's barrel percentage. This is just completely horrible, Carter. I have nothing else to say. This is terrible.
Yeah, I'm saving Bo Bichette's deep dive in statistics. I have George Springer's for next episode. I just don't want to look at it, man. I see it. I'm seeing what he's doing. It's not good. I think the stats are going to be even worse. And you just gave me that one. I can imagine there's probably a lot of low percentiles in his baseball savant and a lot of bad statistics in his fan graphs. Eventually, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and do this. But Bo Bichette, I don't know what happened to this guy. Like his at-bats are unserious, to say the least.
And
Bo Bichette
you know what?
usually, I'll let you go ahead, take over here.
One thing I want to say, because this is something that maybe sometimes we all don't think about, is that we don't know what goes on in these guys' personal lives either. Something could have happened. We've seen the same thing with Brock Besser from the Canucks. Everybody gave him a hard time. His dad passed away. He was going through something. So that's always a possibility. So I never want to completely throw it out there because of one off season, because we don't know what's going on. But in the same respect, Carter, as much as I say that, this is horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, we've had one of the best offensive showings we've had in a long time with Bo Bichette out of the lineup. When you go into this season thinking that would be the case, you're definitely having Bo Bichette probably in that number 2 spot, going 2 for 5 with 2 opposite field singles. It just he hasn't put anything together this year, and we need him to find it if we want to make a deep push in the playoffs. But again, it is early with Bo Bichette, but I just want to see something out of him. I just want any good thing that he can do in the next couple of games. I'm going to take that as a positive, and hopefully we can run with that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. I think that's a lot of this team right now is sort of hoping and praying that we get back to what we think we can be. Will it happen? Who knows? We can speculate. We can sit here and talk about it. But that's the enjoyment of baseball as well, is those big moments where guys start, being themselves again. And you're starting to see it over a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 game span. So we just got to pray that that's what our Toronto Blue Jays can get back to. But we're going to get into one thing. I teased it before, but one thing Carter pulled sort of that I thought was very, very interesting. And we'll preview tomorrow's game as well.
As we all know, Mother's Day is getting closer, and it's time to think of a Mother's Day gift. Get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from whatever you want with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and much more to make her day that much better. Get thoughtful gifts she deserves with the convenience you need. You can choose same-day delivery or schedule a week in advance with flowers, gifts, anything that should arrive to her door on DoorDash. Get a Mother's Day gift today with DoorDash. You can use code LOCKEDONMLB and get 50% off your next order, up to $15 off when you spend up to $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. Order now using DoorDash today. That is LOCKEDONMLB. Terms apply.
All right, Carter, I'm going to throw it straight to you. You found something that was very, very interesting, and I think it's showing so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, just another reason to be in Justin Turner's corner. So on the broadcast, Buck Martinez was talking about this. They got into depth about Justin Turner and him helping out Davis Schneider with his approach. So as Blue Jays fans should know, Davis Schneider can't really hit the high fastball, has a little bit of trouble getting to outside pitches. So Justin Turner helped him go over his hot zones. And they noticed that Davis Schneider did the most damage on middle and in pitches. And it's as he went outside of the zone, it got a little bit colder. So what Justin Turner got Davis Schneider to do, apparently he got Jock Peterson to do this as well. That's where he got the idea from, is he got Davis Schneider to move a little bit closer to the plate so he can extend that hot zone a little bit farther out, get to that outside pitch a little bit easier, do more damage on those outside pitches. And you might think that might leave him a little bit vulnerable to the inside fastball, but with how good he is at getting to that inside pitch, it might get a little bit harder. But again, are you going to see 3 straight inside fastballs in an at bat? Probably not. So Justin Turner kind of said, if they throw you 3 really good inside fastballs, you kind of just have to tip your cap. But it gives Davis Schneider more leverage. It gives him more opportunity to hit pitches outside of the plate, higher up in the zone. And clearly it's working actually. So Davis Schneider, great day today. Justin Turner, great guy to have in your corner.
Yeah, 100% agreeing. I mean, this is exactly why we brought this guy in. Outside of his production this season, which I didn't think anybody had on their bingo card, this is exactly the exact reason that we brought Justin Turner to this team, is to be that veteran that can help these guys. And he's doing that, and he's being one of the best hitters in the MLB, which is just shocking to say, to be honest with you. But it's also unbelievable. And I think the more anybody can help Davis Schneider become the player that maybe we already all have in our heads that he might become, I think is even better.
Yeah, Justin Turner reminds me of that coach. It's like, damn, I wish I could still go out there and just like, I would dominate everyone. I'd show you exactly how to do it. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's the coach that goes out there and is showing his team exactly how to play baseball. And I love that from him. He's always talking, I find. Whenever they pan to him in the dugout, he's talking to a hitting coach, trying to figure out ways to improve his game, improve others' games. He's always thinking. The mental part of baseball is so big, and Justin Turner does that so well.
You know what? There's some guys there's some guys that play baseball, and there's some guys that love baseball. He seems like a guy that loves baseball, and that's what's fun to watch. A guy who goes out there to enjoy, but also realizes that he wants to win, and he'll do whatever it takes to win. And I think in this scenario, helping out your teammates is a part of that. You want them to succeed so you can succeed. Because Justin Turner is succeeding all by himself. He could shrug everybody off, keep doing what he's doing and not worry about anything. But he's taking time away from himself, away from the magnificent season that he's been having, now to go help Davis Schneider as well. This is just, it just shows what a great guy and great player and great person that Justin Turner is.
Oh, and you could tell it's a lot more fun to win as a team than it is to have just good personal stats. I'm sure Justin Turner would hit 100 if it was going to mean that the Blue Jays were going to win most series, most games, and do make a deep run into the playoffs. So with saying that, we do have 2 more games of this Royal Series. Obviously, we did recap this a little bit. So tomorrow we have, or today, I guess, it would be Jose Barrios versus Cole Ragans. That's the dogfight. I'm excited to watch that baseball game. Then Wednesday, you got Chris Bassett and Seth Lugo. We did go over our predictions. I had a win this game and a loss. Braden, I can't remember what you had. You want to remind me?
Win, loss.
Oh, so you got to, okay. So we're on the same page at this point now. We have the same predictions. Screw my prediction. I want to sweep at this point. Let's continue this hot start with the bats. I want 5 runs. You know what? Let's try 7 runs. Let's get a little crazy here. Let's go for 7 runs tomorrow, actually. I don't know if the Jays can do that. Maybe I'm asking a little bit too much. 6 runs back to back, 7 runs hasn't happened. Seems like forever. So maybe we'll see some good stuff from the Toronto Blue Jays, but it's tough when you got Cole Regas on the other side of the mound.
Definitely. But I think now that you've shown what you're capable of, it's important to now continue because you can lose this fan base very quickly by having a bad outing right after you maybe gave us some hope. So I think a big thing here is to continue what we built from yesterday into today. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the Blue Jays can bring. But the good news is that Jose Barrios is on the mound, and he will, 100% that Jose Barrios will go out there and do his part to get this win.
100%. The best pitcher easily on the Toronto Blue Jays so far. A guy that I have all the faith in the world in. If the playoffs started right now, I think you got to go Jose Barrios game 1. But I want to bring up just 2 more things. Jano launching on his own night. That's just awesome. I seen Vladdy with the glasses on. That was kind of a funny image as well. Jano he's unbelievable, man. I love watching Jano play baseball. He pull side home runs. I've been saying it all off season, saying it in spring training, regular season. Pull side home runs will never get old for me.
You know what? It's so funny when he was taking his first, or I think it was on the home run ball. They panned to the dugout, and every one of the players all had the glasses on. It was so funny. I think that is what I mean by having fun, right? You're in a tight game. You're playing well. You're having a blast. That is what I love to see about Blue Jays baseball. Now, if we're down 7-0 at that point, take the glasses off, boys. But it was a good game. It was a fun part of the game. All the fans enjoyed it. It looked like they were all having a blast. That's the kind of baseball that I love.
See, I don't know if I agree with you on that take. I'm not going to extend this too far out. I think if you're going to commit to something like that, I think you got to write it out, whether it's going good or bad. Janos night is only one night of the year. Let him have the glasses no matter what happens in the game. Just wanted to bring up one more time the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel. I'm watching the Dallas and Knights game right now. I'm not watching it, but I have it on. It's 3-2 Dallas. I want Dallas to win because I hate Vegas. I'm sure you guys follow the NHL as well. You're kind of sick of Vegas dominating as well. So expert analysis, NHL, obviously the NBA playoffs. Definitely not going to get the expert analysis here on the NBA. So perfect opportunity to go over to the Locked On Sports Today channel or the Amazon Fire TV's channel app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network 24/7. Whenever you want to tune in to digest your sports content, perfect opportunity to do that. Braden, you got anything else to add?
No, not really, to be honest. Make sure you guys drop a subscription. You guys have been killing it lately. Absolutely killing it. We've been having a ton of fun. That's why we sort of pulled the trigger on this whole Toronto thing. We realized how awesome you guys all are, and you're obviously enjoying videos. We like to get into it with you guys in the comments. I think Carter got really into it with some guy on TikTok, so that was awesome. And we enjoy that. We enjoy the interaction, and that's why this Toronto trip is going to be awesome. We're going to hopefully meet some of you guys. If you're at the game, that any of those games, come down, say hi if you see us, whatever. We'll talk. I'll probably stand there and talk Blue Jays with you for 20 minutes. That's probably how it's going to go.
Yeah, like I said, my favorite part of this podcast is debating with the fans, whether it's good or bad things. So I'm excited for this trip.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Anyway, another episode, a little bit different. Like we said, we might do one of these every once in a while where we just, we pick a couple big things that we really want to talk about. Maybe not necessarily it's going to be a game recap, but it's going to be more of like a bigger picture, some more, interesting topics that we maybe couldn't get to throughout the week or the weeks before. So tune into that tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting, very big topics. Carter has picked out a few. I've picked out a few. It's going to be very, very interesting.